Post-it notes. Don't put it on the record. Don't put it even on the record box. You don't want adhesive around your materials. Post-it notes are great for the usual type of office, but it's not good for these materials. If you have to use something to mark something or note that there's something special with this one, or I think there's a preservation problem with this one and I need my supervisor to look at it, use a flag. This is a flag. It can be any type of markable paper or folder stock, but something that you could tuck in with it or tuck into the same folder at least, and you can write a little note on it and know that you can come back to it if you have a problem. Just no Post-it notes. Be careful though, if you have a lot of these, you don't want something that is brightly colored. If you really need to just use copy paper, use plain white copy paper. Copy paper does have a little bit of acid-free pulp to it. It's not entirely forward for your stuff. And ideally, you wouldn't be keeping the flags in permanently. This would just be to mark something. So just don't use something that's like a bright blue paper or bright green paper. And be careful of the flags. Don't play with them. Don't shift them around, because then it's rubbing your document. If it's lying right on top of the document that's in here, it's going to be abrading it. So, and just as with the flag, don't slide documents around top of other types of documents. Again, it could abrade it. There's going to be friction depending on the waves in the paper. Over time, that's going to really start to break it down. Pick each one up fully. Set it down. Don't slide it around the table. Supporting fragile documents with stiff archable board. So depending on what you'll have access to, I'm not really sure the supplies, but you want to use something that has a hardness to it if you really are working with extremely fragile documents. If this paper is completely torn up, has a giant tear down the middle, and it's in a very bad shape, starting to get a little bit brittle, and I need to move to the scanner. I don't want to be picking up the edges, moving it along like this, and setting it on the scanner, and then trying to pick it back up again and moving it on the scanner. Again, you have a higher chance that you're going to cause damage to it. The best that I would try to recommend is have a stiff board such as this. You want to slowly kind of try to get it onto the board. If you can use a corner, a little bit of dragging is okay. This surface is pretty smooth, so it's not going to be doing too much to the document. Get it on that board. Use this to move your document. And then if you need to flip it over, like the flatbed scanner that you'll be using, your documents are going to have to be upside down when you scan them. So that's even more handling of flipping over, flipping back over. There might be stuff on both sides, so you're definitely going to be handling it. Use two of these boards. One on top, flips pretty easy, and then you can again try to just carefully slide it onto the scanner and then put it back. So use something that's a good support for your document. Let's see. Another part of this is when your item is on the scanner. I know that it's a pretty big size scanner, but if your edges might be hanging a little over the side, we really don't want that. We don't want it draping over the edges and causing possible further tears or indentations or marks in it. So you might need to use something to stack up other books, depending on the type of weights that maybe you have. Something that goes up to the top of that scanner so you can keep it propped up. You don't want it hanging down. You don't want to set the document on your lap. You don't want to set it on your chair. You don't want to set it on the floor. Again, using the workspace that you have. If you're scanning loose materials, so lots of loose sheets or something that's been disbound, again, this is having a nice workspace to use. You want to stack them in separate piles so you can easily keep track of which ones you've already scanned, making sure they're in order, and then making sure you have the pile that's left still in the correct sequence. You might have to go back and fix the scan, so it's just better to keep everything in order. The documents that you have may or may not be numbered, or may or may not be able to tell a way of which ones go in which order, and sometimes that will really mess with the content of the collection. If I have a page that says yes on it, that gets out of order. I don't know what came before that or what that was an answer to or what that dealt with, so you really want to be able to make sure that your items stay in the correct order. Exercise caution when using a lid and a flatbed scanner. Again, I'm not sure if the lid will be on the flatbed scanner or if you guys will take the lid off if it comes with one.
Well, I'm glad you asked that because we have some machinery here now, and I think that the machinery, we've got 2 computers and a scanner, and so I think the new things are the same as what we already have because machinery could go to the Historical Society. So I'm not sure. So we can go down, but I'm glad you asked that because when Aaron comes next week, he's going to want to know. So I'm not sure. If it doesn't, you can actually always scan without the lid down.
Yeah. It's really, I think it's safer for the document if you don't have a lid. The downside of having a lid is, you might be doing a book or something that you've got folded open, and then this lid is pressing on it.
And those lids are heavy.
Yeah, they can be, and you really don't want to be breaking the binding or breaking, the document because of this lid that's hanging on top of it. Ultimately, if you really need to use a weight to keep it weighted down, then you'll use small weights like the ones I have here. You don't want to be using the giant lid to press down on it. So if it does come with a lid, you'll have to exercise caution. Sometimes they don't necessarily need to fold over onto the document. Sometimes they can stay folded off to the side, and I would really recommend just leaving it like that.
Do you put something to cover something?
You
like
can.
That,
so if you are
cloth,
scanning with weights, this again is just, they're not very heavy. They're just enough that I could keep.
But those are archival,
Yes.
you get them out of the archival catalog.
Yeah, you can get these at Gaylord. You can get them anywhere like that.
And they're called weights.
They're just weights.
They're called weights, okay.
There's a lot of different kinds of weights that you could get. So most of them are either metal, glass. Sometimes they're
You
cloth.
could probably use those for other things too.
Yes.
Like whenever you're gluing things.
Oh yeah. They come in handy a lot. You just don't want to pick any weights that come painted or with something else put on top of it that could get on your documents. But if it's just metal or glass, you're good with that. But yeah, if you could, depending on the type of paper and material, you could just set it down carefully on the document, or if you wanted, you could use a buffer of another piece of paper or something that goes on top of it and set the weights on. Either way is fine, really.
Not to prolong this, you may be here for 3 hours instead of an hour, because of my question. The paper that you use.
Yes.
Do you have special?
Yes, me too. This is Permalite paper. It's acid-free, lignin-free. It has a watermark to just show that it's Permalite paper. It's supposed to last forever. Not that I don't think it'll last forever, but it definitely won't hurt our collections. But if you are only resorting to copy paper is at least still acid-free to a certain extent. So it's not the worst thing in the world, but just go with the plain white paper if you have to. But yeah, we use Permalite. So yeah, the weights, you can always use weights if you need. So the lid, I would avoid the lid if you can. So preparing documents for scanning. Preparation is going to consist of a few things, but it's really dealing with any aspects of the document format or the condition that's going to interfere with scanning and long-term preservation of the document itself. So you might come across a document that has damage, and that might inhibit, easy, quick, fast scanning for you, and you're going to have to just take your time and know what to recognize, what to do with that document so that you can get a good scan. You could come across tears, rolled up items, something that needs flattened. You could come across fastenings. There's a lot of different types of fastenings. Different bindings or housing issues that might relate to those bindings. Previous repairs. You might come across previous repairs in documents that are causing preservation issues to the documents, as well as just brittle documents, which are going to be really hard to handle. And then mold. You won't come across mold. So tears, rolled documents, and flattening. Tears. Small tears that are less than 5 centimeters in length. If they don't affect text, they could be repaired. Thermoplast is an archival tape that we tend to use. There are a few different kinds, but this one I can pass around for you if you like. It's just a thin tape that you peel off, you put it down, you press down with it to get it to kind of disappear, and it's just considered more archival friendly than Scotch tape. this is, if you're doing any preservation or conservation work, usually our rule is we try to do something that's reversible. Reversibility is key because 30 years ago we would have said, oh, maybe this one layer of glue is the best glue out there, and hey, lamination is the best thing we can do. And now we know that that's just atrocious and we would never ever want to do that. So the downside of this tape is that right now we think it's great. Right now we're willing to use it, but 30 years this could turn out to be not so safe, despite our best research efforts. So I would really exercise caution with using something like Filmoplast. If you're working on something that was a general collection item, I would be more inclined to say go ahead and use the tape. That's not horribly valuable. If anything happens to it, it's okay. You can kind of see the look in the picture that they have, and that doesn't look like anything rare or valuable. With these documents, I would more recommend just trying to scan without fixing the tear. That could be difficult. What it might mean is, you've got a document that has tears that especially are on top of the text, and you need to make sure that that gets lined up for scanning purposes so that people can actually read the words. And you might have to work slowly, kind of visually line it up, and again, weights might come into play. You could place the weights right on top of that tear once you have it lined up to make sure it scans really nicely. So with tears, just try your best to not make them worse, but to scan them without doing any repair work on it. If it's a tear that, like I said, is really small and it's not even on the text, you still want to be careful around it so you don't tear across the whole document, but you don't have to be concerned as much with that.
So then you just leave it flipping around in there?
Well, it depends. I mean, obviously, this is sort of a different situation. If you are looking to repair something, then, again, you could use Filmoplast, or if you were trying to do a much more extensive repair, you would use something like Japanese tissue paper, where we know that has a long life and can easily be reversed from the document.
But if the thing is detached, would you always want to attach it, or sometimes you just stick it in that not lamination, but like Mylar?
If it's in Mylar, then I think you're okay. I think trying to repair it, you might end up doing more damage to it than if you just have it encased in something where it's not going to get further separated, it's not going to further tear, and yeah, especially when you're not trained in the conservation work itself, I think it's better to just not do
any damage?
Yes.
Or further damage?
Yeah, no further damage. So just trying to get that best scan out of it without making it worse. So you can see here in the picture near the word editor, right above the A, there's a small tear. It doesn't really affect the text. Something like that could easily be scanned without repairing it, as long as you guys are careful. If you really need a weight, you could use a weight on the back of it, but that's not an extreme tear. This is a larger poster. This has large tears. It has missing pieces. It does affect the quality of the image somewhat. The paper's gotten a little bit crumpled because of that tear. If you were to scan this, you would really have to take great care to make sure that it doesn't get worse. But because the tears are so big, Filmoplast probably wouldn't be a good solution for it. Ideally, it would have to be repaired by a conservator. But again, this is just something that you would have to take great caution with, and you definitely would probably have to use weights in the back to keep everything lined up correctly. Rolled documents or documents that have curled edges or folded pieces to it, as long as the paper is in good condition and it's not brittle, the edges can really be flattened down by hand while you're